Hello, good morning. Welcome to Uniting Wellbeing and to Be Unbeatable, the teen and adult version we're doing today. I'm Yolanda Saez Castelló of Tap It Better, and it's an honor for me to be here with you today. Thank you so much to so many of you for showing an interest in my work and also for donating to the wonderful Jersey Childcare Trust charity, of which I am proud to be a trustee and which supports the lives of so many families in Jersey and really makes a huge difference. What I plan to do in this session is share with you a bit of my understanding and what I have seen in my years of experience treating thousands of people about how one can feel unbeatable and be unbeatable. And then I would also like to share with you how to physically calm your brain and your physical body, which in turn will calm your thinking and will calm your feelings by doing some tapping. Okay? So let's start by discussing being unbeatable. How do you become unbeatable? If I said to you, just a moment, and I played an explosion, really loud explosion here in my laptop, you'd probably freak out. You'd probably jump, wouldn't you? Might even leave the room, right? And the thing is, the only reason you would be jumping and being scared of the whole thing, being really, really seriously freaked out and rattled, would be because, in that moment, you'd be having no understanding whatsoever of exactly what happened, right? Now, the moment you understand that it was just a finger on a key and that there were some electronics that then ended up displaying perhaps some fire pixels, some orange and green and yellow pixels on a screen, and a rather loud soundtrack of an explosion. You know what? The moment you understand that, you'll be less freaked out, won't you? I could keep playing it, but every time I play it, you'll be less and less freaked out, won't you? You might jump a bit at the next sound, but you'll be less and less freaked out, won't you? Until such time as when you say to me, "Oh, Yolanda, for goodness sake, stop playing that explosion," right? So what we're talking about here is the very basic difference that understanding how something works can make to how you view it and how you feel about it, right? So this understanding, if you translate it into the world of the mind and how the human experience really works, not how it looks like it works, then what we're referring to is what we call the inside-out understanding. It would be very, very easy to understand that it seems to us that what we're feeling comes from what is happening. I'm worried because of what's happening out there. I'm angry because of what someone said. Everything I'm feeling is caused by the outside. That's what it looks like, isn't it? It really does look like that, doesn't it? When in actual fact, the way it really works is quite the opposite. Absolutely, totally, 100% inside out. Let me give you some examples. My most popular examples are my talk about the beach, my example about the beach. So many of us live very near the beach and love the beach. And when we go to the beach, we think it's so cool and so great. And I don't know, when I look at the beach, I feel quite lucky and perhaps, a bit jolly and or maybe a bit cozy sitting there looking at the beauty of it. I don't know. All lovely, positive feelings. Whereas if I said to you, I had a client a while back, years ago, that lived on Jersey but couldn't go to the beach because every time she looked at the beach, she got a panic attack. There were reasons for it. There had been trauma and things like that. But just bear with me. If this person looks at the beach and has a panic attack, and I look at the same beach, or you look at the same beach and feel all lucky and jolly, then hang on a minute. It can't be the beach causing my feeling and causing her feeling. It's the same beach on the same day, right? I could give you gazillions of examples of things you look at and you have a certain experience, and somebody else looks at the same thing at the same time in the same situation and has a completely different experience. We often joke in my office with my clients. They look at the plant and they think, oh, that's so cute, and it's got a little birdie and whatever. Well, I might look at the same plant and think, oh, that plant, goodness, it's so unkempt. Look, there's soil on the dish. How very awful of me. I don't know. I might end up feeling guilty. It's the same plant in the same moment, in the same office, right? So I won't bore you with any more examples of how very many plants you can look at and think one thing and therefore have an experience. Or someone else, can think a different thing and have an entirely different experience. So if it's not the beach, and it's not the plant, and it's not what's out there, then what is it? Well, like we're saying, it's our thinking. It's what we do with the situation. What we do with our thinking, that's what will determine and entirely define our feelings. You'll agree with me, it's pretty hard to feel miserable if you keep thinking happy thoughts, or vice versa, to think rather to feel really jolly when you've been thinking miserable thoughts. It just doesn't work. It's very one-directional. Okay? So this inside-out nature of life, which might in principle sound a little bit on the simple, basic side of things, it just has huge implications. When you look at it in detail, it has the most enormous implications. Because you see, say you're a teenager and you're worrying about, I remember being a teenager and greatly worrying about fitting in and being accepted and nobody being unkind to me because did that mean I wasn't acceptable and I wasn't cool and I wasn't this and I wasn't that and I wasn't clever enough or pretty enough or whatever enough, right? So if what we're saying is everything I feel can only ever come from my thinking, and the same situation can be experienced very differently depending on what thinking I throw at it, then all of a sudden that same teenager could realize that, the other teenager, the guy that was really quite unkind, he's in his own thinking. He's in his own reality. He might be having a thought storm. So I might be having a thought storm, but he might be having his own particular private thought storm. And it comes across and it comes out of his mouth and he says something really unkind. And all of a sudden, when I have this understanding, I realize he's in his own thought storm. So I don't take it personally. Might even feel a bit sorry for him. I might even feel compassion for him. What about other implications? What about, say, if it's all coming from my own thinking, if it's all coming from me, then when I'm feeling awesome, when I'm feeling great, that's also coming from me, right? Where is that coming from? Well, guess where that's coming from? And this is another concept that I often use as part of this, of clearing the misunderstanding that it's what's out there that's got the power and not you. Okay? So inside of us, where do all these good feelings ever come from? Inside of us is the sunniest version of us, the one that can cope, the one that can do this, the one that looks at the coronavirus situation and thinks, it's okay, it's just a rough patch, we'll get through this, I just have to look after myself and look after my family and eat well and sleep well and get through this and it'll pass. The one that can do this, the one that can even have great moments of joy in the middle of everything that's going on. That one is the real you. That one is always in there because it can't go anywhere. It's always inside of you. Where's it gonna go? It can't go anywhere, can it? So the idea that sunniest, happiest, more able to cope, holding more clarity you is always in there is pretty awesome if you think about it once you realize it. Because it means these feelings are always available to you. It means you are only ever one thought away from feeling differently. So think about that for a minute. One thought away from feeling differently. That is one of the most awesome ideas I have ever come across in my 50 years of life, currently. Yeah? So, if you're an adult instead of a teenager, but even if you're a teenager, either way, for everyone, really, a huge implication of this inside-out nature of life is that you don't need to control your thinking. You don't even need to, we're saying it's your thinking creating your feelings, but you don't even need to control your thinking. Try to think X, Y, and Z, but never, ever, ever think A, B, C. Oh, no. You don't even need to do that. Because once you understand that everything you ever feel is just telling you about the quality of your thinking, it cannot ever tell you about reality, about whether things are good or bad or in between, about whether someone is really horrible, really horrendous, really okay or in between. Once you realize that whatever storm you're going through is really just a pile of thinking. Once you realize that, the whole thing loses power over you. The whole thing loses oomph. It's a bit like the explosions I was talking about at the start. I can keep creating explosions with my finger, but they'll never scare you so much again. Maybe the second one, maybe the third one. And I'm not saying you'll never wobble again. I'm saying you will wobble less often and it will pass faster. Let me give you another example. Before I started recording this video, I've got a teenager in the house. We had a bit of a moment. We did, because of this and that and the other, and it all seemed so important and so whatever it seems sometimes when you're having a bit of a moment with a teenager, right? If you're the teenager, you know what I mean, and if you're the parent, probably even better, okay? So, even at the time when it seemed so real and it seemed so, knowing that it's just a huge cloud and that like clouds do, it will pass. And that inside of me and inside of her is our own sunshine. And like everything else, it's just a cloud, it's just weather. Knowing that is the bit that won't allow you to be beaten by it. There's a lot in life that could make you feel beaten if you're understanding the world from an outside-in perspective. When you know it's all just weather, and like weather, it shall pass, while your sunny, your best, calm, collected, peaceful self is always in there, and it can't go anywhere. And not only that, but it is entirely unbreakable. When you understand that, you can feel pretty unbeatable. No argument will beat you. No crisis will beat you. Because you know that above all, in fact, inside all, you're still okay. You're still unbeatable. You're still okay. I don't have huge heaps of time, so there is only so much detail I can go into. But I suppose I'll still explain a little bit more. Because this is a very new way of looking at the world. This is a very fresh way of perceiving what's happening and what you're feeling and why you're feeling it, and more importantly, where it comes from. So, suppose I'm not saying, because what I'm not saying is as important as what I'm trying to share. I'm not saying your thinking created the coronavirus crisis. I'm not saying your thinking created whatever is happening that's worrying you. What I'm saying is your thinking about coronavirus, or your thinking about whatever other situation, entirely defines your experience of it. And not only that, not only defines your experience of it, but because it is thinking, it is just thinking, you will shift. That's why sometimes you look at the same thing and you feel okay with it. You think, I can do this, I'm all right. This will be fine. And sometimes you really don't. Sometimes you think, this is awful, this is shocking, I can't do this anymore. This is really quite awful. And in the extreme, let's be brave here. Let's call things by their name and let's talk about whatever we need to talk about that will help people. In the extreme, it could take you to a point where you really can't bear things anymore, where that thinking is suicidal thinking. And I'll tell you what, suicidal thinking is no different from any other thinking. It's called suicidal ideation, and some people can spend quite a lot of their energy considering this. It's no different from any other thinking. It just scares you a bit more, doesn't it? You think, oh, now you're thinking about your thinking, right? Oh, that's scary. Oh, am I really thinking that? Oh, now I'm scared of my own thinking. Don't be scared of your own thinking. It's only thinking. It can never hurt you. Just like the explosion, it can never hurt you. It's only a bit of electronics. It's only a bit of thinking. It doesn't matter how loud it is. It doesn't matter how loud the weather gets, how stormy. It's still weather, right? It doesn't matter how scary your own thinking seems. It's still just thinking. It still can't hurt you. Even if you were to sit there and think, well, I'm just going to sit here and think this. I'm just going to sit here and think this. I'm not letting go. I'm not letting go. It still would shift. In the end, you would get hungry. You would get thirsty, or you would need help. and your thinking would naturally shift. And that's it, as your thinking shifted, your feeling would shift. Okay? So, even in the most extreme of cases, first of all, you can see this thinking, but you don't have to listen. Would you listen to somebody who you know to be talking utter rubbish? Would you listen? You might pretend to listen, but you wouldn't engage. You certainly wouldn't follow on anything he or she said. So first of all, you don't have to listen to any rubbish that you're not enjoying listening to any thinking that you're not enjoying listening to. And you will know what bits to listen to by the way they make you feel, right? So first of all, you don't have to listen. And even if you were to choose to insist, to be adamant to listen, you could just sit there and listen and it still couldn't hurt you. Because it's still a pile of thinking. It may be a big pile. It may be a loud pile. It may be a horrible, stinky, unpleasant pile of thinking. But you're still one thought away from feeling different. Coming across this understanding has changed my life, but not just that, because this is not about me. It has changed the lives of so many people I have come across. Like I say, there's only so long I can be with you today. I wish I could be here all day. There's only so long I can be here with you today. So I would like to move on to the tapping part of things. But don't forget that if you have seen something in what I've said, even a glimpse of looking at the world this way, can freshen up your feelings, can totally freshen up this intensity that we appear to be subject to, and that we sometimes feel just under the power of. It's like it's the power is all in what's going on in someone else, in something else out there. It isn't. So if any of what I've said, it has given you a glimpse even, give me a call. Let's have a chat. Because I'm sure I could share more insights into whatever the specific worry is that you might have been having a bit of trouble to shift. Okay? So how does all this fit in with the tapping, with the emotional freedom techniques? NHS approved, thoroughly proven, well over 100 studies and more coming up every day that show what the tapping does and how it does it. I'll get into how it does it and I'll get into the science of it a little in a moment. But I suppose the overall picture remains one where, like I was saying, every single thing you feel 100% of the time has started with a thought. And how does the tapping help in this overall picture? It helps because it's proven to reduce blood flow to the amygdala, the part of your brain that kicks off the fight or flight, that keeps you stressed and worried and tense and overwhelmed. So it's a very physical intervention which also reduces cortisol, the most famous stress hormone. A little bit of it, great, keeps you, not running in front of cars. When you see it coming and you think, whoa, no, there's a car, right? Keeps you alive, right? Gets you going when you need to. But increased cortisol on a continuous basis really can wreak havoc with your health. So that's another thing tapping is very clearly proven to do. Reduce cortisol levels by 43% in one session. That is staggering. That is absolutely staggering. So many health issues are based on raised cortisol. And this is such a mind-blowingly effective technique to reduce cortisol in your blood. Well done to you for being interested and for probably being a user already. So while it does all that, while it physically calms your brain, reduces blood flow to the amygdala and reduces cortisol, stress hormones, what is that doing in thinking terms? A brain that's calm is going to think better thoughts, which in turn is going to create better feelings. Remember, it's very one-directional, we were saying. So to me, it's a bit like the equivalent of say, a muscle that hurts and it gets a massage. And that increases the blood flow and it brings lovely nutrients and oxygen to the muscle. And then, it might hurt less. So there could be pain reduction. Or apart from that, I don't know, it might make you feel very relaxed and you might want a nap, But it all started with a physical intervention. That's how I view the tapping. It's a mind-blowingly effective physical intervention that calms your physical body, which creates calmer thoughts and in turn, much calmer feelings. Let's do tapping, shall we? Given the situation, it would be fully understandable if you are worried, if you are, scared, if you're feeling fear, if you even feel a bit overwhelmed, or if you even get physical symptoms. I don't want to end the session without tapping a bit on, just relaying to you how you would use tapping if you were to, say, be unlucky enough to catch COVID and need to try everything in your toolbox to help your body as well. Okay? So, I'd like to do a bit of tapping for fear, a bit of tapping for worry, a bit of tapping for overwhelm, and a bit of tapping for physical symptoms. Okay? First of all, I'm going to take a sip of my turmeric tea. I know, hippie, right? Because I do talk, don't I? Oh, I do talk. So, I'm going to show you the COVID-adapted sequence of tapping points. These days, it's not advisable to touch your face, as you know, in case you've touched something that could potentially then get into your system. So the points we will use will be the side of the hand, then the top of the head, the collarbone, under the arm, and then all the ends of the fingers, the fingertips, where the nail begins, on the side where the nail begins. Okay? So say you're worried right now. And frankly, nearly who isn't, no? Tap on the side of the hands and repeat with me either out loud or in your head. Even though I feel so worried. See how worried you are. Give it a 0 to 10. Are you 10 out of 10 worried? Or are you perhaps just a 7, a 6, where 0 is no worry at all and 10 is the most unbearable level of worry? Give it a number, keep it objective, keep it down to earth. I'm into numbers, I'm into science. The reason it says MSc after my name is because I'm a Master's of Science, and I quite like to keep it very objective. Okay, so make a mental note of that number of how worried you were at the start of the tapping. Even though I am so worried, that's okay. Just keep tapping. And I honor my feelings and I accept myself. Even though I'm so worried, that's okay. I'll just keep tapping. And I accept myself and my feelings. Even though I've got this big worry, this big worry in my body and in my head. That's okay, I'll just keep tapping. And I still honor my feelings and I accept myself anyway. Okay, top of the head. All this worry, you can do one hand or both hands. All this worry. Skip the face. All this worry, either side of an imaginary tie knot. All this worry in my body. See if you can find a bit of your body that's feeling it more. Sometimes one can feel a tight throat, or a knotted stomach, or a tight back. Find that bit in your body that's really feeling this worry. And if you don't, that's fine too. Just keep tapping under the arm. All this worry in my body. All this worry in my head. You can do one side or both. Tiny finger. I am worried. Ring finger. All this worry. Middle finger. All this worry in my head. All this worry in my heart. Index finger. I'm so worried. Thumb. I really am very worried. Let's go back to the top of the head. But worrying won't make things better. Worrying only makes things worse. Skip the face. Worrying doesn't really help me. Worrying doesn't serve me at all. Under the arm. So I choose now to let go of this worry. I choose now to feel calm, peace, and clarity. I choose now to let go of this worry. Letting go of this worry. Releasing it. Letting go of this worry. And starting to feel calm. Let's just take a big breath. Try for your deep breaths to move your abdomen out and back in, not to raise your chest, okay? It works much better that way, but I won't get into that. From 0 to 10, how worried are you? Are you still as worried as you were at the start? Has it gone down a bit? I've got a chart that people quite like looking at. From 0 to 10, and it shows you, which one are you right now? Children love it, but adults can also be visual learners, adults. So be objective, be honest. Has it dropped a bit? Has it not yet? If it hasn't, continue. And if the theme was a worry, continue along the same lines. But I'm going to move on to say, imagining you are just scared. That is fear that you're feeling, okay? Because there will be, and there are a variety of you. Every person that signed up has had an email from me, and if they were in time, if they signed up a few days ago, whoops, this is moving. If they signed up a few days ago, the people have got a chance to tell me what bits they didn't want me to miss. So I know the worry was one, and the fear is another one, and the overwhelm. So let's pretend, let's tap for people who are scared right now, even though I've got all this fear. That's okay, I'll just keep tapping. And I accept myself anyway, even though I am so scared. This thing really scares me. That's okay. I accept myself anyway. Even though I've got all this fear in my body and in my mind, that's okay, I'll just keep tapping. And the calming signals will help. All this fear in my body. Skip the face. All this fear in my heart. What if this does really go that wrong? What if it's really that bad? Keep tapping. That's why I'm scared. That's why I'm worried. That's why I feel it this way. Try and find in your body what bit of your body is really feeling this fear. In me, probably my stomach. I'm the type that gets a funny stomach when she's a bit worried, you know? So if that's you, say, by the way, don't do as I do as I say. Don't touch your face. So I just did by mistake, sorry. If that's you, if you get a worried stomach, then tap on that, this scared stomach, this scared throat, these tense shoulders, this scared neck. And keep like that for a couple of rounds. My back is scared. It's like I hold the fear in there. My tummy is so scared. This scared tummy. I know it sounds silly, but it does focus your brain on where fear is and where the feeling is sitting. This scared tummy, this overwhelmed head, this head that's about to explode. All this worry, all this fear, all this overwhelm, I choose now to let them go. This is my life and my feelings. And I choose peace now. This is my life and my feelings. And I choose clarity now. There's a lot going on out there. But we will work it out. So much change has already happened. And I'm still here. So much change we're all going through. But we're still here. We've had to work out how to live in lockdown. And we have worked it out. We will work out the next bit as well. Whatever that bit might look like, we shall work it out as well. I will work it out as well. Speak in the first person. It's more specific, isn't it? I will work it out as well. The same wisdom I had a month ago that has got me through this until now, the same wisdom will be with me next month. The same wisdom, the same experience will always be with me. It can never leave me. There's no need to work out everything right now. There's no need. We can work things out as we come across them. There's no need to wonder exactly what the future will look like. We'll be there when it happens. We will work it out. I will work it out. So I choose now, skip the face, make it COVID safe. I choose now to let go of this overwhelm, to let go of this worry, to let go of this fear. I choose peace, I choose calm, and I choose clarity. Feeling calm, feeling centered, letting go. Let's do a deep breath. Remember, abdominal. Well done. If you have water, a sip of water helps every process. Well done, everyone. How's your intensity? Have a little check. Be objective, keep it honest. From 0 to 10, which one are you right now? Hopefully you're going down. Hopefully you're getting calmer and you're getting a very clear flavor of how you can do this anytime you like. Even if you do nothing, in the end, your thinking will shift and your feelings will shift. But it's a great tool. Why not? Have a go, use it. Keep calming yourself down anytime you need it. Sometimes, I was talking to a PhD student who does tapping with me to focus and to increase her mental availability and capacity for all the hard work she's doing. And she was telling me sometimes she doesn't even need to tap. It lasts for so long, she's so calm and so focused, days go by and she doesn't even need to tap. This might be you. I hope so. And for the last few minutes, of course, if you haven't got to 0 yet, be prepared to persist until you get lower and calm enough that you will know when you've done enough tapping, because you will start thinking, why am I doing tapping? That's how I know if I've done enough tapping, because I think, what am I doing here? Why am I doing tapping? Because I'm already calm and happy, and that sort of feels redundant to be doing any of this. Okay. But I'd like to dedicate the last few minutes of this session, which I am enjoying so much, and I really hope you are too, to the potential possibility of you actually catching COVID and needing some physical help, or not catching COVID and needing some physical help with symptoms. There's a video going around of someone not related to, he's not a tapping practitioner or anything. He's just a gentleman who knew about tapping and used to use it a lot of years ago. And then he caught COVID. And in the emergency room, as he calls it, he's American, I think. I don't know. Never mind. In the emergency room, he was being told his oxygen levels were dropping, and they were considering having to put a ventilator on him, and they gave him a little while in which they would be watching his oxygen levels to determine whether he indeed needed this ventilator or not. So he could do nothing. He was just there hoping. And it occurred to him in years past, he'd had quite good knowledge of tapping, and he thought, well, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. There's nothing else I can do right now other than sit and wait, so this is what I'm going to do, and this is what he did. I'll show you pretty much what he would have done, and his lung capacity, his oxygen levels raised, and they were a beautiful 98% within, I think, a day or something. I can't remember exactly. And he never needed the ventilator. So he was very pleased, and he was telling everyone about it, and there's a video going around. So what would he have done? If you catch yourself in an unfortunate situation, such as, your lungs are not coping, I'd like to focus on lungs given the situation, your lungs are not coping, what would you do? This is what you could do with tapping. Side of the hands, even though my lungs aren't doing very well. Even though my lung capacity is a bit reduced because my lungs are in trouble. You don't even need to get technical. You don't even need to get into pneumonias and things like that. Even though my lungs are struggling, that's okay. I'll just keep tapping. Even though my lungs can't breathe that well right now, that's okay. I'll just keep tapping. You don't even need to talk, by the way. Just think the thinking and do the tapping. Even though my lung capacity is reduced right now, that's okay. I'll just keep tapping. And then tap. These lungs that are struggling. These lungs that are struggling. These lungs that are struggling. My poor lungs. My poor struggling lungs. My poor sick lungs. these lungs. By the way, this is the end of the lung channel. Okay? These are all endpoints of acupuncture channels. And this is the lung one. So even if you can do nothing else, at least press on that one. If you catch yourself in lung trouble, ask a loved one to press on this if they're allowed to be with you. Or just press yourself. Press it against something if you can't, if you're not allowed, if you don't have the ability to even press on the side of the nail where the nail begins. Just press it against the bed, press it against something. That will activate it as well. Okay? So we were saying these lungs that are struggling. My poor lungs, my poor lungs. These lungs that are struggling. These lungs, I'm going to help right now. Go on, lungs. You can do this. These lungs, I'm sending them light. I'm sending them love. These lungs. Okay? And then you do a breath as deep as you can. And very, very often, when people start a talk about tapping, this is what they do. They just say to people, okay, breathe in 3 times, and that's the third one, so you don't get the first nervous one. Define from 0 to 10 how deeply you can breathe. And then they tap as an example, and that invariably, I've seen this hundreds of times, if not thousands, invariably allows the breath to go deeper. Okay? So you tell me, how helpful would that be if your lungs happen to be in a compromised situation? Okay? So just like with the lungs, you can do it with any other symptom. It can never hurt. In 40 years of tapping, there has not been one instance reported of side effects. And there have been many instances reported, hundreds of thousands, of it helping the physical body and the mind. Okay? I've come to the end of what I wanted to say to you today. I mustn't keep you any longer. And I just wanted to say thank you again. I hope this has helped you. If you have any questions, I'm only at the other end of an email. It's Yolanda, that's YOLANDA, at tapitbetter.com. You can look at my website, it's www.tapitbetter.com, or you can join me in my Facebook page. It's www.facebook.com/just tap it better. Okay? And if you follow me on there, you will find that all these videos, all these resources I'm creating are going to be on there very shortly. I have done 5-minute tap-alongs for various themes. I have done half-hour videos as part of a series I called Calm in Isolation. You will find it all in there, and I hope it will all help you. Thank you very much. Stay safe and enjoy Uniting Wellbeing.